Okay, everybody. So I'm still working on my little game here. Got a bit more progress. Forget where I left off last time, but I'll just go over what I've done between yesterday and today. So I've got a map. The map is now 1,000 by 1,000. I tweeted out earlier saying it was 100 by 100, and I went, let's make it larger just to see how it works. It's 1,000 by 1,000. Works really well. Between then and now, I have done several different cursor things. Right now I've got a selection cursor. There's a target cursor. I don't have it rendering yet. That's for attacks, and I eventually add those later. The cursor actually will select the correct tile. Zooming is now functional. I can zoom in. I've decided that there's only going to be 3 zoom levels for the moment. This has to do with the fact that the math isn't perfect for the zooming. When I get the math perfect for the zooming, I'll see about letting it transition between some large number and some small number. I won't go too far because, to be honest, when you get to 0.5 zoom, which is what I'm at right now, it's a little hard to see. And then when you zoom in to ×2, everything's large enough anyways. The only advantage of having any larger or smaller zooms would be if you have a ridiculous sized monitor and you want to zoom in more or zoom out more depending on it. Say if like you had like a touch table or something. Not many people have that, but that is an edge case. But yeah, zooming works, cursor works. I've added panning so I can go sideways. Unfortunately, the cursor doesn't work properly with the panning. I thought I got it fixed, but I got more work to do on that one. I've been doing math and notebooks all day just to try to figure out what this should look like. I don't have much experience with transitioning and doing it. Luckily, it is still kind of working, so if I actually look in the console here, it actually is getting the correct position. Because it knows that my cursor is sitting over metal right now, and it knows this is a plank, and it knows that's a plank, that's a plank, that's a plank, and that's metal. So it's just the render code that's messed up. See if I can fix that real quick. So, you know what, that's probably, I just need to do this real quick and get rid of this code. Hit run, and then we'll hit debug so I can actually reload mid-play. Okay, that looks like that's working now. Oh, nope, I spoke too soon. The Y value seems to work, it's the X value that seems to be off. It's hard to say how to fix that precisely. As the trick with actually messing with some of the stuff is if you mess with it in one way and then you go to change the zoom here, it'll behave slightly different. Actually, it's behaving the same in each one, so let's look at it again. I could just do this, see how that behaves. I don't think it's going to work though. Yeah, that's not going to work because that's going to invert my cursor completely. So it's maybe just minus camera position dot x. And if we go sideways one, oh, that is not behaving as intended. That's the reason why I said that this stuff doesn't work out precisely how it should. You know, I think I can actually do center X because I think it's an integer and that should floor automatically for me. And then I forgot we're in debug mode, I could just hit reload. But yeah, I've been working on this all morning here, a little bit yesterday. I mean, it's turning out pretty good considering the fact that I haven't spent much time on it. That looks like that did fix that. And we'll try zooming and see how it behaves when I zoom, and it is messing up on the zoom level. Does it actually know what tile I'm sitting over top of? So yeah, it's still identifying the correct tile, it's just a render code that's weird. So it's tile.x times tile size, most likely is what I need to do. And then I forgot I was in debug mode again. Yeah, I've been at this for quite a while trying to get this to work. I'm hoping to get this done soon because, man, I want to start to actually build proper levels and stuff, and I think it's fixed now. Cursor, yeah. I mean, this thing's been buggy, and I've been toying with it all morning. Just this cursor select, nothing else. Just a cursor select all morning because, as you can tell, where my cursor is, it's not perfectly lining up with the box because we are flooring the box. What I mean by flooring is that say if you had 1.9, it'll go to 1. And instead of rounding it up to 2, it'll go to 1 because you want to stay into the closest value rather than the farthest value. Yeah, it works. So if we zoom all the way out, see if that works. Yeah, it works. And this map can scroll infinitely. I will actually add limits to it by saying like, hey, you're at the edge of the map. And if we move off, you see the character actually disappears and stuff. I actually have render code to de-render anything outside the box. Right now it goes, we're gonna render, I believe, it's not quite a 20 by 20. It's almost 20 tiles across from the left to the right, but up and down it's like half that much because we're whatever scale ratio we're using here. What is the resolution set to by default? And the resolution by default set to about 1200 by 720. That's just an example because I'm basing some of this code off an example project I was given. But yeah, that's good. Now since I've got this select code working, the next thing I can do is I can start to set the player's position. So we'll actually do this real quick. I actually need to close this row to do the set the player position because I need to do a check real quick. So we want protected Boolean click and then equals false because what we want to do is that we want to check for left click, but we don't want to do anything until left click is released. So we need to go, okay, we've clicked, then we've released our click. So this will be in the do update. Here's the controls for this stuff, the zoom stuff, which I actually need to change this to, say 500, which will be half a second. And we'll go down here. If it's actually mouse input dot, you know what, we'll make it a method for this rather than trying to figure out what is what. So public static boolean left click and then return let's see, mouse buttons dot 0. So 0 is left click, 1 is right click, same as Minecraft if people are familiar with Minecraft coding. These buttons do not change across much, although I might be biting myself when I say that because I don't know how Linux handles this, I don't know how Macintosh handles this. I know Macintosh I don't think actually has a right click. So when this game goes to get released on Steam, I'm probably going to have to buy a Macintosh at some point just to test these games. And I dread doing that because I don't really like Apple products. Not because they're actually bad, but because, one, they're just overpriced and they're generally not very useful. For the same price that you get an Apple, you can get a PC, probably multiple PCs actually. Okay, so we want to do left click, and then we're going to go if click, I'm going to go click equals false. We're going to do else, and we're going to do click equals true. That's actually not right. So we go, actually we want to do this way. So we're going to go with click, and we then want to go click equals true. So you want to keep track of the fact that we actually have the mouse is clicked down. And then we're going to go else if click. So if our mouse is no longer down, we've released it. Now we want to do our action, and we also want to do click equals false. In this case, we want to set the position to the mouse, which means we're going to have to get the mouse position, which we're going to actually not do this here. We're going to do this down the render code. It's actually a poor way to do it because I want to separate all the render from the logic at some point, but because our input is dependent on a lot of this code here, I'm probably going to just leave the controls in the render section. So actually in this case, I'm going to go if mouse input dot left click. So we want to make sure we're not clicking, and then we did click previously, and then we want to do, I believe we actually are storing the player. Player dot, we need to get the player entity. So in this case, actually this is the character class. Why can't I set the position? Weird. Dot set position. Oh, there we go. So we want to set the position, and we want to set to basically just X and Y. Actually, no, this is the render X and Y. We want the TX, TY. And then we want to set to 0 because we're not changing layers any. And we'll see if this works. Of course, when we actually go to do this, okay, that worked, that worked, that worked. You know what I'm fucking up on? Is that You know, actually, am I messing up on that? Because where's the player code here? TX, TY, TX, TY, TY. That all looks correct. Something's not working as expected though. Because then we move in the X position, we can move the player here. We can move the player here. We move anywhere in the Y and it doesn't work properly. Could it be the Y render is messed up? Okay, so if Y is less than top camera bound, Y is greater than bottom camera bound. Okay, so that's 0, 1. So I should be setting our entity to 0, 1. So it's something wrong with this. So let me check what the math looks like on here. So tile Y. Yeah, there's no, that's actually right. I was about to say there's something wrong there, but no, it's or not, because it's confusing because there's a tile Y here that says it's 14, and then it says one that says 22. We look up here, it says they're both 0, and you look at here, they're both 0. And then you look down here, that should render it 0, 0. Okay, so oh yeah, it's because we're right there. We need to put it there and then test it again. Did we like kill the entity? Oh yeah, actually I know it's wrong. It's right here. I forgot. I'm checking Y, thinking it's Minecraft, like it's elevation Y. In this game, X and Y are coordinate plane for rendering, and then Z is our up and down. That's the piece of code that failed. Okay, we know this now. And it still isn't rendering. Oh, that's right. I didn't reload. Or actually, can I read? Yeah, there's reload. Cool. Ah, we can move them around. So yeah, that's that just shows it's only been a couple days here, and I already have a functional game here. Like this could be a functional game by itself. I could just do like an attack movement here, like left click to move your character, right click to attack, and that would literally be a game by itself. Of course, I'm not going to do that because I want to get something really high quality. But I've got a map. I can pan around. I can zoom in and out. I can now control my characters. All I have to do now is do like left click to select your character, and then right click to move instead of making it left click to move. As then you'll go like select character, then you would go, okay, I want to move, which would just be right click, or there'll be a menu down here where you go click I want to attack, and then all of a sudden your cursor will turn into attack, and then it's right click to attack, or right click to activate ability, or then there'll be other things like take cover, crouch, prone. I don't think I'm actually going to do prone in this game because as you can tell, the character is a full block in size. Actually, the characters need to be smaller here eventually, because each one of these tiles is meant to be a meter in size, and then human being is, I want to say 2.5 feet wide, almost a meter. Actually, no, that's close. 2.5 is pretty close because my shoe is about 12, and then I'm about 4 shoe lengths across. So yeah, I guess a meter wide would be about right. So this character is actually almost to scale. I'll have to toy with that though. That means proning is probably not going to happen. I can do crouching because crouching would just be, you would see his knees or something to note he's crouching. And of course he'll automatically, when he crouches, he'll get like half cover. And there'll be like a little shield in the corner saying he's got half cover. And then if he's up behind cover, then he'll have full cover, which I got to implement cover here. The only thing I've been doing is implementing tiles. I can do a can walk check here eventually too. The data is stored, so air blocks and edge mat blocks you can't walk on already, but there's no logic to detect for that. So what the logic would do to detect for is one, I need to do a pathfinder, because even though I may not do animations right now to walk between points, I do need to know if I can walk between the points. So it needs to go, okay, if my first step, second step, third step, fourth step, if my path between all 4 of those is walkable, then I can get to that point. If it's not, then I can't walk there. or I need to find some alternative path. And I need to render that path too, so I need to draw it on screen so as a player I can see that path, I can understand what it is. So when I go to start scrolling to where I'm going to move, then I would need to draw a line to that, kind of like XCOM does it. Um, then I need to do some kind of controllable path system. Luckily, unlike XCOM, which only allows you to do like one movement, or allows you to do two movements, or an attack, then a movement, or is it just a movement attack? I don't remember which. In this game, you're going to get X amount of movement points, and then you're going to get X amount of attack points. So you can attack so many times depending on your character's class and abilities, but you can move so many times depending on your class's characters and abilities. And then plus, there will be attacks and abilities that if you activate, you can't move. But what this will let me do is if I want to say I've got 5 movement points, I can go like this, over like this, and then like that. So I can control my character. If I had like so many movement points, I can go like over here, then I can go down here, then I can go down over here. Say like it was cover here and I wanted to prioritize that. Unlike XCOM, which will actually try to run you shortest distance, and in order to get it to work correctly, you would have to do some kind of algorithm to go like, hey, I want to do prioritize safest run. I don't have to do that. I can just say, well, if you as the player want to do that safest run, then what you can do is say, hey, I want to dart to this cover, which will be a metal block. Then I want to dart over here. Where, say, if we were standing here and we wanted to dart over here, it would just take us straight to there, which means we would have went across here, but instead we can go like this and then to there. That way, if there was a sniper coming and aiming at you, you could take cover, even for a momentary amount of time, so that if that sniper had a reaction rule, he didn't shoot you because you had darted behind cover within such amount of allotted time. That's it right for now. I'll make more of these videos here later when I get more content. Right now I'm going to take a break and get back to doing my job as a mod developer, but this has been fun.